Hello and welcome to the session number 6 of the Sophos XGS Academy for 2021. My name is Matt Smith and I'm part of the sales engineering team in Western North America, and today I'll be walking you through the topics of managing and controlling your XG environment. The topics we will cover in this session are as follows: the overall management console, which will introduce Sophos Central, how to get rich insight into your users and network with authentication and visibility. We'll look at controlling your environment with application and web control policies, including intrusion prevention, as well as a deep dive into Sophos Sandstorm for enhanced security. We'll finally look at what the XG can do to provide extra visibility with other Sophos products to automate the security, management, and visibility of your environment. So with that, let's get started. First off, let's talk about management. Sophos Central is our platform for managing all of your Sophos security products from one pane of glass. XG Firewall is now fully integrated into Sophos Central with great firewall management features, reporting, and of course, synchronized security to respond to threats automatically. Customers have told us that the combination of Sophos Central and synchronized security has been such a benefit to them. It's been like doubling the size of their IT team. Let's break this down to what's important about an IT security solution and what makes us good or better. First of all, it starts with a great firewall, which is the heart of the network and an enabler for everything else really. An XG Firewall offers a very compelling solution for customers. Then it's also important when someone's looking at a vendor solution, what breadth of products do they offer in addition to a firewall? What endpoint product do they have? Does it have EDR or MTR? Does it cover servers, mobile devices? And what about other products does it include? Obviously, we have a great portfolio for companies of all sizes. Perhaps the most important product in the portfolio is the endpoint solution. How strong is it? How does it compare? What about the protection, the features? These are super important criteria, and of course we have the best endpoint in the industry. Then the next most important aspect to a good security solution is the management. Is there a single console to manage everything? We have a unique advantage with Sophos Central. And then how well integrated are the various products? Is there any value added benefits that come from that integration? Again, synchronized security is really unmatched in this area. And finally, the customer is going to look closer at the value they are getting. Is the price reasonable? Do you get good value for your money? We offer excellent value, great price performance, great features, and lots of essentials we include for free that others charge for. So I think you'll agree the Sophos ecosystem is one of the key reasons that we win, and for other good reasons. An endpoint product that is second to none, a unique single cloud management console to effectively manage everything, tight integration with synchronized security, and a solution that delivers tremendous value to our customers. XG Firewall offers several winning advantages when it comes to management. It is part of the ultimate cybersecurity ecosystem that is Sophos Central and synchronized security, which offers tremendous benefits. One console to manage it all, one vendor, one console, all your IT security managed from one single pane of glass, and obviously synchronized security. You get the ultimate management experience, which includes group firewall management, which makes it very easy. Flexible cloud-based reporting and visibility across your entire network, wizard-based deployment and setup tools, security, malware, and threat intelligence analysts built in, pre-packaged policies to be up and running quickly, and automated response. Here you can see the Sophos Central dashboard. It has been designed with simplicity in mind, with an intuitive dashboard also using traffic light style indicators, allowing customers to easily navigate around, see a summary of their estate, or to drill down to more detailed logs and alerts, all from a single interface. XG Firewall can be managed from within Sophos Central for easy management, especially across multiple sites, reporting and deployment. You can monitor the health of all of your firewalls in Sophos Central. You can do one-click firmware updates. You can store and manage backup files. And now you can do group policy management within Sophos Central. Adding firewalls to groups keeps their global policy settings synchronized for the entire group automatically. If you make a change once, it's automatically replicated to all firewalls within that group. You can also view and audit changes via the task queue, and we've recently added high availability support, or HA, to Sophos Central so that you can now add HA pairs to groups and manage them similar to other devices in that group. So let's dig into the next topic of visibility, protection, and response. Another basic question most admins struggle to answer is who are their top riskiest users. With Sophos' synchronized user identification, you can tie a specific user to a specific device, as well as their behavior as to whether they are violating your company IT policies and how much of a risk they pose to your organization. XG Firewall has a number of authentication methods including Active Directory, LDAP, eDirectory and more, as well as local authentication for those deployments where an authentication service just does not exist. In addition, if you're running our Sophos Intercept product on your endpoints and servers, you also have the added benefit of sharing the last logged on user information that is reported by the endpoint to the XG Firewall, which makes it even easier to gain visibility to your most riskiest users within your organization. XG Firewall automatically identifies the top risk users in the organization and provides insights right on the control center. And a couple of clicks provides a detailed report that articulates why they are the highest risk so that network admins can proactively address these risky users before HR comes asking for a detailed forensic reports for that problematic user. The challenges with visibility are where we have invested heavily, helping customers finally get the level of visibility they want and need into what's happening on the network. It starts as soon as you log into the firewall with the control center you see here. It uses traffic light style indicators that immediately draw attention to what matters the most. Red needs immediate attention, yellow is a risk or warning, and green is good. At a glance, you can see your top risks related to the heartbeat, applications, payloads, users, threats, websites, and attacks. When it comes to configuring your policies, there is a very simple and intuitive way of implementing them. We pre-package policies that allow organizations to get up and running within minutes. Admins can choose from one of the many built-in policies for web filtering, intrusion prevention, application control, traffic shaping, SSL inspection, or business application protection, and then customize them or just use them as is. We are constantly integrating intelligence and best practices into the product to make it easier to protect your organization with just a few clicks. We will highlight web and application control, including intrusion prevention, in a demo very shortly. Another important control is web filtering. With the Sophos XG Firewall, it provides simple and intuitive interface to configure and deploy web protection policies. You can quickly deploy a pre-packaged built-in policy for your workplace or school environment, blocking a range of unwanted web traffic quickly and easily out of the box. The pre-packaged policies can also be modified to suit your specific needs. If pre-packaged policy meets the majority of your requirements, You can take a prepackaged policy and simply add or remove your own URL block or allow lists, web categories, content, and so on. You can also tie these rules to specific individuals or departments within your organization, providing flexibility for IT admins. Specifically to a school environment, we offer teacher override options, keyword monitoring and reporting. The XG can enforce safe search as well as Google and YouTube restrictions. The XG also supports Chromebook and many other authentication options. You can easily troubleshoot your policies with the included policy tester to quickly determine if a website is blocked or allowed for a particular user and also make changes on the fly. Another important protection technology in any firewall is intrusion prevention. You can think of IPS as the network equivalent of exploit detection. It looks at network traffic for signs of exploits or any packet containing code that's part of an attack. It can detect exploits against vulnerabilities in operating systems, network stacks, servers, endpoints, browsers, applications, and more. It's no excuse for not patching, but acts as another layer of vulnerability protection. Our IPS engine is amongst the best in the industry according to NSS Labs, and we're constantly improving our IPS solution, and Sophos Labs plays a key role in that. We also offer network admins the ultimate in flexibility to fine-tune their performance and protection. Now let's take a look at how easy it is to administer and manage policies on the firewall. So as you can see, if we jump into the rules and policies and we create a new firewall rule, we can simply give the rule a name, log the firewall traffic. We can assign our source as well as our destination objects. We can also create new objects for both the source and destination networks on the fly. We also include a time schedule to enable these policies for a particular time that you want this particular rule to take effect as well. As I mentioned, so in this particular rule, we're going to just set up this up for a typical LAN to WAN rule. What we also include for the destination networks is to define like the country or the IP range, MAC address list, as well as any services. By tying in the user, we can then specify any particular individual users or groups as tying in that with the authentication services as well. We can simply add in the exclusions that may be exempt from these policies. And then as we scroll down, you can see that with the security features of the web policy, we have a predefined or a prepackaged policy in this example. So you can see this applies to anybody right now, as well as a select web categories that currently have a range of actions from allow, warn, or block. All of these web categories are visible for you to simply add or remove from this policy, including URL whitelists or blacklists from within the XG firewall. And obviously for your URL allow list, we're just going to go ahead and allow that. And as you can see, if there was a particular rule that we didn't like, we can disable that or just simply delete. And then as we just make sure and validate that we've got our policy configured as we like, we want to just set a warning on our gambling web category. And ultimately, as we continue scrolling down, we're just going to go ahead and save this web filtering policy. And that really is as simple as that. We do obviously want to enforce Sophos Sandstorm for additional security, which we'll cover very shortly. Selecting green for your security heartbeat ensures that any devices traversing this firewall, in particular the rule, are good and healthy, in addition to blocking any clients with no heartbeat. Moving on, we can also see and enable an application control policy. So if we wanted to block applications that are consuming high amounts of bandwidth, we can very easily do that directly on the firewall. Now, what you'll see is if we jump into the actual policy, we can edit this, and we're just going to go ahead and customize it and add in any of the applications that, as a network admin, I want to identify and control based upon a select criteria. So I want to make sure that anything that poses a risk from a medium, high, or very high. We can also add in certain characteristics, so we can tie in perhaps even a synchronized application control of what the endpoint has told the firewall, what applications are running on the endpoints. And once I've got that policy enabled, we can go ahead and just save that rule down at the bottom. So at this point, we've got our synchronized application control applications and everything defined as we expect. And as you can see, again, just to re-highlight the applications that the endpoint has shared with the firewall. Now, finally, we're just going to go ahead again and save that, and we have our application control policy now defined. Within the same firewall rule, we can also apply our intrusion prevention policy. So this also does provide a pre-packaged policy. So if you wanted to customize this policy, you can do by all means. So if you wanted to select certain targets, so if it was just client or server, including any particular supported platforms such as Windows, Linux, Unix, or even Mac, there's a whole range of IPS patterns specific for those platforms. The recommended action is already set for you as well. Just make sure that you have the action set to recommended. Go ahead and save that. And then we can layer in intrusion prevention directly into that firewall rule, and we'll go ahead and simply save it. Now, we cover the deep packet inspection engine in more depth in another session of this series, but note that one of the benefits of the DPI engine is the integration of all the security and control needed to protect the network and enforce policies. You have gateway antivirus scanning, IPS, web protection, and application control into a single streaming engine, making it efficient and effective in overall great performance. And what's more, if the AV engine detects any file with active code, such as an executable or document with a macro, it will send that file to Sophos Labs Cloud Services for a static machine learning based threat intelligence analysis and dynamic sandboxing behavioral analysis to stop the latest ransomware attacks and variants. And as with everything else we do, customers get unprecedented visibility into this analysis that other vendors just simply cannot match. But why is this technology so important? What kinds of threats does it stop? So here are 4 examples of recent threats that Sophos Labs shared with me that would not be stopped if a customer didn't have Sandstorm in version 18 of Sophos XG that would be analyzing these threats. First, infected Office documents are often attached to phishing or spam emails and even available for download on many sites, which can be easily convicted by static threat intelligence. Next, the Anuna hacking tool, which is a bank and financial institution hacker kit that is also easily, quickly, and reliably convicted by static threat intelligence. Then lately, we've seen a huge increase in coronavirus phishing attempts, many of them using a new attack consisting of an executable inside of a compressed file, like a .rar or .zip. Both static and dynamic analysis convicted this malware, and most importantly, Sophos Sandstorm customers were protected from day 0. And last but not least is another Excel-based malicious attack that uses a legacy code execution feature. This one is designed to be evasive of most AV engines. However, Sophos Sandstorm detected this variant and saw over 1,300 convictions in just 1 week. The bottom line is there are real and dangerous threats out there that are slipping onto networks unnecessarily because customers don't have the necessary protection. Sophos XG gives you quick insight from the control center. Clicking on the widget shows a list of recent files that have been analyzed, the file name, when it was analyzed, who downloaded it, and the final result of either suspicious, malicious, known clean, or likely clean with high confidence. Files determined to be malicious are blocked and will not be allowed on the network. Other results are allowed and obviously flagged here for you to easily see. Simply mousing over the result in the summary screen reveals the new threat meter. Here we see an example of a malicious file that was convicted based on its file attributes, genetics, and overall machine learning analysis of the file that has determined with very high confidence that this is a new form of malware, and it has been blocked before Sandstorm sandboxing was even finished analyzing the file. That's one of the key benefits of the new threat intelligence analysis, is that it can render a verdict much quicker than sandboxing in seconds instead of minutes. A more thorough drill down report is provided that shows complete details on each of the threat modeling techniques used and their results. Those of you familiar with the threat intelligence analysis in our EDR product or our email product will find this very familiar. And with the new threat intelligence solution in XG Firewall version 18, Sandstorm reporting is also greatly expanded. We now provide extensive details on what the file was doing, along with screenshots as it happened in the sandbox, so you can easily and securely see the step-by-step action of the malicious file being detonated inside of the sandbox. Here is a demonstration of the amount of visibility you get with Sophos Sandstorm reporting. Starting at the top of the report, the source details allows you to quickly understand which of your users downloaded this file, from which website, and the exact time and date. The overall verdict in this case is malicious. The analysis summary provides a breakdown of the result from different perspectives, including machine learning, the file structure, and the overall reputation, and more. You can see here that the Sophos Sandstorm detonation detects this file as malicious. Sandstorm provides a click-by-click replay of what the malicious file attempted to do inside of the sandbox. Here you can see what a user would have seen if they would have received this malicious Word document. From here, we can analyze the process, file, and registry activity to understand the behavior of the file. We also include how prominent this threat is on third-party virus databases like VirusTotal, so you have complete assurance that the file has been convicted as malicious. Now let's talk about synchronized security. Sophos was the first vendor to integrate firewall and endpoint together to enable them to share information and automatically respond to incidents. This was a disruptive innovation in the industry, as many other firewall vendors have been scrambling ever since to integrate endpoint protection into the product lines with varying degrees of success. No one can match the simplicity, elegance, and rich features that Sophos Synchronized Security delivers. All you need to make this work is XG Firewall and InterceptX, or our Managed Threat Response Service, and it's all managed by Sophos Central for free, and all of the protection and threat intelligence comes from Sophos Labs. Let's have a look at a few key synchronized features and use cases. So here we have the security heartbeat, and the security heartbeat shares a variety of telemetry between endpoint and firewall, which is one of the key pieces of information shared is its health status. If InterceptX detects a threat, it will automatically communicate that to the firewall, which will flag its heartbeat status as red. Then the firewall then automatically initiates lateral movement protection, which informs all the healthy endpoints on the network that there is a compromised host, and to ignore all traffic from that compromised host. This prevents any active threat from moving laterally to other systems on the network. In addition, dynamic firewall rules that depend on endpoint health automatically limit access for any compromised host to network resources such as servers, other LAN segments, and even the internet, completely isolating that host until it's cleaned up. This not only stops the attack from moving or spreading, but also prevents data from being stolen or exfiltrated. It also cuts off any communication between the compromised host and any hacker command and control servers. Now, another benefit of the Sophos security heartbeat between endpoints and the firewall is that it can be used to share a variety of other information, including information about unidentifiable applications. If the firewall sees application traffic on the network it cannot identify, it can simply ask the endpoint, which inherently knows the app generating every packet that leaves that device. The endpoint shares that application info with the firewall in real time. We call this synchronized application control, as it uses synchronized security to identify unknown applications. The application is then automatically classified in many cases, or flagged for the admin to classify, and then application can be controlled, blocked, or even accelerated if it is identified as traffic that is critical to your business. There's a widget right on the XG Firewall Control Center that shows you how many applications have been identified using synchronized application control. You see how many new applications have been discovered since you last investigated it, how many have been categorized by the system or yourself, and the total number of applications that were previously going unseen in your network. This is unique to Sophos and provides 100% application discovery and identification reliably and accurately. No other firewall does this. Let's take a look at synchronized application control at work. In this demonstration, we will highlight a common tactic used by willing users who will try to disguise the network activity by using a proxy or a VPN tool in hopes that the firewall will not be able to detect their traffic. So from the control center, we'll click on the synchronized application control, and from here we can see all the applications detected by the Sophos endpoint agent that have been shared with the Sophos XG firewall. So we've gone ahead and created a web policy that's going to block gambling as a web category. So if we select the web categories, we're just going to search for gambling, and we're going to apply that now to the web filtering policy. We've got it set to block, we're going to enable it, save our policy, and go to the firewall rule. Now, on the firewall rule, we're just going to tie in the web policy directly under that firewall rule to block our gambling web category. Now, with that saved, what we want to do now is just go to the applications, and we're going to add in an application filtering policy to block particular VPN applications. So we're just going to save this application filter, jump into our newly created policy, and now we're just going to simply select the criteria based on proxy or VPN traffic, deny all of our applications that the firewall currently knows about, and save that. Now, just again, back under our firewall rule, just going to make sure we've got everything set. And if we go to gambling.com, we can see that the website is expectedly blocked. Now, under that firewall rule, if we go back and we enable the block VPN application filter that we just created a few moments ago, save our firewall rule, and now if we establish a VPN tunnel through our VPN application. Once we've connected, we're just going to go ahead and test and see if we can bypass the current firewall policies. So you can see we have our connection established now. We attempt to go to gambling.com. And of course, you can see we can access gambling.com. Now, with Sophos synchronized application control, what we're going to do is, because we've ran that application traffic now, the endpoint has communicated that application traffic with the XG firewall. So from here now, you can see our OpenVPN application, our curl.exe, as well as the actual path to where the application was running. We can see the user that was currently logged on, how often we've seen it, the last occurrence, and how many times that we've seen it so far. Now we're just going to go ahead and add it to our proxy and tunneling application category. And we'll do the same as well for OpenVPN as well. So we're going to go ahead and apply that. And then once that is saved, what we're going to do now is just disconnect and then re-establish our VPN connection. So we can see that the session has been terminated, we've logged out, and we're going to attempt to log back in again. Now, under our application filter, we can also identify that we have now got the curl.exe and openvpn.exe added to our application filter. And you notice now that the application is obviously struggling to establish a VPN session. If we take a look at the log viewer on Sophos XG Firewall, we can see the application filter for that particular user that is currently being denied. And that's exactly what we want and the benefit of the Sophos synchronized application control. Now, what you can see is we can still we're still trying to keep connecting, but we know now, because we're blocking it from the application level directly by the synchronized application control, we can now see that the actual VPN client has been unable to successfully establish that VPN session, and it will reattempt to try and connect somewhere else as well. So that is really the value and the benefit of the Sophos XG synchronized application control, to not only get the visibility, but also manage that traffic to really tighten and enforce your security policies. So that concludes the session number 6 for controlling and managing your environment. I'd like to thank you for watching this session. Be sure to check out the next session, which is session 7, which covers topics on managing and accessing your XG firewall remotely.